Let's start with this season on Liverpool before we move into your career. What's Kieran?
Nice one.
Kieran, he's so happy, Kieran. What do you make? What do you make of Liverpool this season? You obviously watched quite a bit of them.
Well, I've really enjoyed watching them in the Champions League because I think they look a completely different team when they've gone into the big Champions League games, and I think they're in a decent place there. Really tough asking them going into the next one against PSG, but a lot of the games I've gone to, I've enjoyed watching them. In the league, look very different. I haven't really enjoyed watching them. Look as if they've got a lot of issues to fix. I've covered some of the games as well for TNT, and after the game, it's been difficult to sort of put your finger on one issue that they've got, because they've got quite a few and it's all over the pitch. Yeah. So they've been very mixed and it's very two-faced, I'd say, as a team this season.
How's that happened from going from like brilliant champions last season, stability, not obviously signing a player the previous summer? What's you say now they've got a lot of issues to
the
fix?
first signs of the issues they've got now at the moment, I've seen it in the League Cup final. I travelled over from Bahrain, I took my lad to the game. Went into the game really confident that they'd beat Newcastle, although I like how Eddie sets his teams up and knew it would be a difficult game, but they just dominated us from start to finish. They just bullied us. And that was the first time I thought, oh, that's so far away from what I was watching a few months before. And then as the league sort of filtered out, then there was a lot of these type of performances that don't look like the previous Liverpool team. Yeah. Quite passive, disconnected, out of shape. Easy to get through.
That's what a lot of the supporters
giving big chances up, and you're seeing it a lot more in recent weeks.
Obviously, we know we're closer to. We go to the game. You got your mates, your family, but you talk about this season. But a lot of Liverpool supporters are looking at what you said. It's almost like that Paris Saint-Germain game, Newcastle game around about the same time, weren't they? Yeah. Last season. So it's almost like this is 12 months now, almost over 12 months that it's almost been a lot like that, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think obviously it took over a Klopp squad and a Klopp team, and I still think a lot of the values and the behaviours in that team carried on through, and I think he's obviously, his style has been a nice match. They've got a new manager, new voice, been like a breath of fresh air to a certain point. But I think some of the issues they're having this season, for me, watching as a fan from the outside and from afar, and going to some games, it's been happening at the back end of last season as well.
I mean, look at what you've just said there. I think a lot of people, but I certainly was expecting a massive drop-off after Klopp left. Is that drop-off coming as a delayed drop-off because of the fact that you just had a run-off there of the Klopp team almost, and then now, is it a case where they stay with him because this would have always have happened, that the Klopp team was coming to the end, you know, the Salah, obviously Van Dijk now and things like that? Do you think it's a natural thing for them to stay with it, or do you think the manager's got a problem?
I think maybe a combination of both. I really like the manager. I think he's really honest. You know, I hear really good things of him as a coach, and his style and his tactics and his details. I hear really, really good things. I've never watched him close or think, I think he's really honest in the media, maybe sometimes too honest. But as a Liverpool fan now, and just someone who's been an ex-player and sort of knows a little bit on the inside than what most normal punters would know, these Liverpool fans, once they get to this stage, it's very difficult to get them back around. From my own personal experiences and what I've seen, very difficult to get them back around.
I mean, Carragher's always said this, not necessarily yourself, but the manager at Liverpool is the god. That's the person, the figurehead that everybody looks towards. Why is it different this time? Because this guy's, I mean, it seems crazy from a position that sort of United are in. Take an example. You won a Premier League literally 7 months ago. Surely he has credit in the bank that means that's... How's he got to this?
He has with me, because I know more than anyone on the planet how difficult it is to win a league. And for him to come in and win a league in his first season, being asked and getting asked questions in the media a long time, what do you think? Does it need to change? And blah, blah, blah. He's got a lot more credit with me. You know how difficult it is. Jamie will tell you, Liverpool demand, they expect to win it every year. So I think he needs the opportunity to sort of play his way out of trouble and fix the issues and try and get himself back in a good place. And I think he did during that period a few months ago, where they'd lost 9 out of 12, but then they went on a run where he took them from 12th to 4th in the league. And I think someone who's won a league deserves at least a full season to try and get out of the problems and the issues that they've got. I'm certainly one of them people, but I have to understand what the fans are saying as well, because it has been dire on certain games and performances, like really dire.
What do you make of the Mo Salah situation? Were you shocked?
No, not at all. I think it's in everyone's best interests now. I think the timing's right, in my opinion, especially after he's obviously had a disagreement with the manager. I don't know at what level. So obviously he's done the interview, which I think he'll regret further down the line. But that told me that there was an issue there. I think also, even going back before that, I think Liverpool as a club probably only wanted to give Mo Salah 1 year rather than the 2, because he had such an outstanding season and he was relentless and his numbers were great. They have given him a 2 year. But for me, I only really ever seen it as another 1 year at that level. We've all played in them years and stuff. And I just think for everyone, it's in everyone's interests for it to end, but also end on Mo Salah's terms. So I spoke to him around that interview at the time, and sort of said to him, look, don't do what you've done. And
spoke to Mo Salah direct?
Go under a cloud. Yeah, I spoke to him direct, yeah.
But you rang him, or?
Well, he texts me now and again, or I text him now and again. More to do with if I'm going somewhere with Leo, just so Leo can see him, really. But I'm not like close to him. But it gave me the opportunity to say to him, look, you've been here for 8-9 years. You've been a king here. You've got this legacy and stuff. Just go on your terms the right way.
Yeah.
How was he when you say that?
Still a little bit emotional from the incident, and he was subbing. He was in and out of the team at the time. He was upset. But I just thought it would have been a shame if he left in January and he just left.
Was that a consideration at the time, do you think?
Not sure, don't know.
I mean, do you understand? I mean, look, you're one of the greatest players that Liverpool have ever had. He's one of the greatest players that Liverpool have ever had. Do you understand when you're sort of getting towards the end and he's sort of been left out? And that type of player, I said this to Roy a couple of weeks ago, you do think differently than, say, for instance, I would, or...
But I understand both sides of it. Now that I've done a bit of management myself, I understand both sides of it. I think I had a similar thing with Brendan, but when I look back at it now and I'm out of game, less emotional, and you'd understand it from where Brendan is. Maybe you're not the same player at 34, 35. There's no, rule where you should or you have to play every minute of every game just because you're the captain and stuff. But at the time, it's not easy when you're in the team, in the squad, and you're about to play United, for example, and you're sub and you're looking at the players that are playing and you think I'm still as good, if not better than them players. It's difficult in the players' situation. Yeah. But I had the situation at Rangers with Jermaine Defoe, who was brilliant for me, top around the place, best professional you'll work with. He wanted to play more and play a lot every minute of the game because he was in the position I was in under Brendan. Yeah. But as a manager, you have to do what's right and what's best for the team. And if someone's out of form or not playing or can't do the job that you're looking for, as a manager, you have to make big decisions.
So it looks to me that it's probably, you said before, on Salah's terms, and it's probably his decision to say, I want to move on. He's give the interview. But listening to you and speaking to you privately, you moved on to LA Galaxy. You actually regret that, don't you? Did you wish you'd have stayed at Liverpool?
I don't regret it in terms of I enjoyed it. And they looked after me there, and in MLS terms, it's a good club. But if he had me time again, Liverpool offered me a year extension. But Brendan, my conversations with Brendan was saying, look, your game time's going to change. It's not going to be how it was before. But, I would love to stay around and maybe we could sort of try and get a connection onto the staff and coaching and we can help you through that and all that. And sounded all right. But in my head, I just wanted to play. I still loved playing football. Didn't like being sub. So in the end, I come to the decision where I just want to go somewhere and just enjoy football. Just play football for another couple of years until my body can't do it anymore and then stop on my terms. But in hindsight, Klopp took over a lot earlier than what I thought. I would have stayed and maybe tried to,
Is it all about the minutes, or can you treat the player with respect where you can put the minutes down and you can still have that working relationship?
Yeah, but the evidence in the weeks leading up to these conversations were that it was going to be a lot more sub appearances than starts. It's just different when you're sub and when you're used to playing and being a main part of something, and that's on me as much as anyone else. I'm not saying like.
Would you change that now? Would you change it?
Me?
Yeah, if you went back now and sort of Brendan presented that sort of play 30 games at Liverpool, we've had this conversation a lot on it. Is it better to play 30 games at Liverpool where you're sub 20 times versus playing 35 games or 40 games at LA Galaxy?
Now that I've experienced it, Gary, yeah. Yeah, I'd have took the Liverpool one.
But that was the Klopp factor as well, wasn't it? I think I've heard you say you wish you could have sort of...
Yeah, a little bit of the Klopp factor, yeah.
You went to LA Galaxy, and with Salah now, do you think Salah will do an MLS or a Saudi right now, or do you think, you know him obviously better than us, that I can still play at the top level, I could go to another big club in another country?
Knowing him, obviously the relationship I've got with him, he'll still have himself down as one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why the fallout's come apart, that he was probably struggling with the transition of a manager saying, you're not starting today, and what? You're messing around, you're still one of the best players in the world. I think that's his mentality, and I think there's good players, there's top players, and then there's them ones that are at the very top that are a little bit freakish in terms of their mentality now. Do you think he's one of them where he's just, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best?
Well, it's not to be admired, though. You know, we talk about...
Yeah, I love that.
You might have had, Stevie, go back to Ronaldo. Not necessarily my case towards you. If you want to play, that's the mindset. And Salah, you've got to admire that. Because the easiest thing for people like Ronaldo and Salah is to ease off a little bit. They've got all the big prizes, they're on huge contracts, but they want to play. And I think it's well and good looking back even on yourself going, I think you stick to your guns. And if you're used to playing, you stick with that. That's what made you the
thing
player
as
you
well
are.
is, you know, the Chelsea situation around that year when we were so close and it was still sort of like bubbling away a little bit. It was still bubbling away.
In your mind?
I thought, just want to go and play football and sort of... I thought staying around with Brent's always going to come up every interview, every press conference, blah, blah, blah. I was like, just go away and enjoy the last bit of your career, because I still felt good, not what I felt mid-20s, but I still felt like I could...
But do you think it was a relief for Brendan? Maybe we were talking about the manager of Liverpool. Now, sometimes you're in the background and you're not playing. If you move on, you go, that does save me a lot of hassle, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think there was a little bit maybe, I don't know, maybe speaking out of turn here, but with Brendan as well, like, maybe Brendan was trying to create something where he wanted the bigger players, or he wanted to change or evolve or transition this squad of players into something different, yeah.
But you do become a problem, though. Characters like you on the bench.
Well, it did become a problem, Gary, because I'll give you one example, and you know it very well. You were probably jumping all over your settee when I got sent off against United.
I was commentating.
That was coming on the Thursday night, because I went round to Brendan's house. He invited me round for dinner. I trained really well in the week leading into it. Was the Thursday. We were playing on the Saturday 12:30 kickoff. We drew to Swansea, I think, just before, and I came off the bench and done quite well, and I'd trained like I was thinking, I need to get back in this team because I think we're going to be sub against United. I was playing on my mind before, so he invited me around to the house and all that, and it was just to tell me that I wasn't playing against United, and I just, honest to God, you should have seen me walk back to the house. I lived 2 minutes round the corner. Honestly, I was like that.
Should have smelled something, though, when he was making your dinner. Just bad news coming
I was actually going to ask you about the digs. It's quite strange for a manager to ask a player around the house for dinner, is it?
No, listen, he was great at the time. I think it was more like he was asking me questions like, would you like to be part of the staff eventually, and blah, blah, blah. Brendan's always been fantastic.
Yeah.
It wasn't a personal issue. It was more me. I just couldn't get my head around the fact that we're playing United on Saturday afternoon. I was going to be sub, and with all due respect, Joe Allen, Lucas Leiva, good players, but at the time I still felt I was better than them. So yeah, that 38 seconds was coming from Thursday night, but that's me. It's not anyone else's fault. That's an example of what I'm talking about, like things like that. I think I've just got to go and enjoy the rest of my career and just slow down a bit and see it out.
Did Jordan Henderson have the same issues, did he? No, Jordan, when he was at least hang on with Klopp and he was saying you're not going to play many games, and he went off, and he probably regressed that a little bit, Jordan, didn't he?
Almost every player I speak to who left Liverpool, so Jordan's probably one. Obviously, you've mentioned about you'd love to have sort of played with Klopp, speaking to Robbie Fowler, and they're all players about they're used to playing, and everybody always says the same thing. They wish they'd have stayed, and I've never played for them.
As well.
Yeah, but I've never played for another club, so I can't understand probably what it must be. Maybe a drop from one of the real, biggest clubs in the country to, a level down. And it's just interesting that everybody always says the same thing.
And when you're used to playing week in, week out, when you said play 15 or 20 games, that is a big drop off, Gary, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's your whole mindset.
Yeah.
To play every week, to go on to play 15 or 20.
You know what it was? That happened to me at the end, didn't it? With probably the last 18 months for me. You know what the thing for me was? I was embarrassed. like, almost embarrassed coming into training. Do you know that thing when the team play over weekend and then you've had a good win, everyone comes in really happy. You don't feel part of that. And then they're getting looked after. They're getting looked after, you know, warm down. You're doing your warm down and everyone's buzzing with them. And you're over there with like the reserves and a few young lads, and everyone's doing a proper training session on the Monday and all the lads are just getting warm down, having a bit of banter and you're just stood here going, what the fuck am I doing?
You've got to run round them first, haven't you?
Oh, it's just and it's like, just embarrassed you. No.
Steve, just quickly, I mean, look, you've both said the same thing now, and your knowledge of Mo Salah is far greater than anybody's around this table, that he still thinks he's the best in the world, and you don't think it's right for him to go to the US or Saudi.
No, I'm not saying it's not the right thing for him to go anywhere. I was asked the question in his head, where does he see himself?
Is he going to shock us, though? Has he got a shock in us? I'm going to put something ridiculous out there. He rocks up at Chelsea, Arsenal.
I think it's...
He rocks up at...
No, I don't think he'd do that.
But I can't see. I'll be really honest with you. Visually,
I wouldn't be surprised if it's another big club somewhere else, but I don't think he'd do it to a rival.
It's not going to be Barcelona, Real Madrid. They're not going to take him.
I could see Italy. I could see Inter Milan.
I think it'd be Saudi. Having lived over there and how he's thought of around there, I think it'll be Saudi.
That's what I thought, but he said not. He said he thought Italy. He thought he would go and want to play.
I think
that wouldn't surprise me or shock me. It wouldn't surprise me or shock me. But if I had to put money on it, I would say.
But I think a bit like you. I still think he thinks, and why not? I'm still one of the best players in the world. I'm not. That's almost retiring going there in my eyes. I think he could do another 2 or 3 years somewhere and then do the Saudi.
All right, that wouldn't surprise me.
I just don't look. I don't know. I might be wrong. He's been to Italy before? I don't see Barcelona or Real Madrid.
That's why I said Italy.
Yeah, but I just think, no. But I think someone like that, like I could see him, for instance, in a different time going to say Paris Saint-Germain. I could see him being in Paris and going to there, but that's not going to happen now. So I'm trying to think of these players usually have egos that mean that they have to play at a club that suits their brand, that suits their sort of thinking.
No, but would he not be thinking I'll go to Saudi and still have an impact?
I think
to retire in 2 or 3 years' time. Still go over there and have an impact.
Remember the reason why Mo's like his is because he's loved. He wants to go somewhere he's loved. He'll be loved in Saudi.
Yeah.
Would he get frustrated?
Straight off the bat.
Well, listen, he's the number one over there.
Exactly.
He's the number one.
Would he get frustrated with the standard or not? Do you think just of your experience?
No, because there's some good teams at the top end there. You know, you'll be playing with good players as well. Very good players. And you can have a foreign players, so you'll be playing under a good manager. And you'll be playing with good players.
You've said that obviously you had a situation as a manager with Jermaine Defoe where he was coming and wanting to play. Have you ever had a more difficult situation with a player that's been sort of, because Jermaine's just a good guy, isn't he?
Brilliant.
He's a brilliant guy. He's not going to fall out with you. He's going to have a proper conversation. Is there anybody that you've had in your managerial career that's been difficult that you thought, how do I sort of, you know?
Yeah, in a different way. Morelos at Rangers was tough to manage. Maverick behaviours.
Is that a centre forward, right?
Yeah, so important to Rangers because he was the goals. But he was challenging. You know, he'd bend the rules and, you know, after he'd scored a brace or a hat-trick, you always knew something was sorted in the post, either him being late or, you know, something, an incident.
And how do you deal with that when he's his goal scorer, he's a brilliant player and he's breaking the rules like that?
Well, look, when you go into a job, you want to try and set rules and have values of your team and stuff like that, but there is...
Not the goal scorer, he can do what he wants.
Not that.
I've got principles, but you can do what you want.
Yeah. Sometimes you'd have to bite your tongue and turn a blind eye to 1 or 2. It's just trying not to get caught by the other players when you're doing it. But yeah, he was so important to Rangers. I knew he was so important, and I knew the time would come where I could get into a place where he's maybe less as important.
Yeah.
That's why I brought Defoe in. That's why I brought Kemar Roof in, because when he was having these periods where he would be challenging or break your rules and your values, Defoe and Kemar Roof were itching to come on and play, and they were as good as him.
Yeah.
Jermaine was much better than him, but at the age.
Yeah.
But they were the reason why we won the league, because their goals in the team and the squad is how we eventually won.
Your managerial career, do you love it?
I've enjoyed parts of it. I've had some difficult times as well, and obviously when you get the sack's not nice. I had a period after Villa where my head was done in for months. It was a tough one. Understood it. You know, you have a run of form like we did at the back end. Responsibility was all on me. Accepted it, but in my own time, sitting around gutted because I thought there was a real big opportunity going into the first full season to really build on half-decent start. So that was a tough one for me. It was a tough one.
And when you say to me, I completely get it. And so I've been there where you almost feel like everyone's looking at you. You feel like, what was that feeling?
I was having mixed emotions. Felt sorry for myself a little bit. Felt a bit bitter. Felt a little bit useless. You go through all these different emotions, but you eventually come round to thinking again that it's part of it. You have to own it, take it on the chin, and get yourself ready for the next opportunity. But I still sit here now and think to myself, what I've seen from November to May, and then the signings we made, I thought there was a real opportunity to kick on. We never delivered that, so I have to take that on the chin.
You know, you go from Rangers, you don't just win the league. It was an invincible win. You didn't lose a game, did you, when you won the league with Rangers?
Not when we won it, no.
No, so you go from that, and then you make the step to Villa, and the level of, I mean, the managers you're coming up against.
The level was a big jump. Probably didn't realise at the time when I made that decision, but in hindsight, again, we talk about hindsight. You know, we'd all be great with hindsight, wouldn't we? Would have stayed at Rangers longer, more experience, stay up there for longer. So I regret doing it now, sitting here. I didn't at the time because I felt like it was going to.
How did you turn that down?
It was tough. And also the conversations with Rangers after we won it, the recruitment and the finance chats that we were having, didn't feel like Rangers were ready to go again. It was a bit more of a like, oh, let's settle this and fix that and do that. And the promises weren't as strong as it was what I thought they would be. Then the Premiership offer and opportunity comes, and it's tough. Yeah, it's tough to say no to that. Villa are a great club, and I've got nothing bad to say about Villa. I need to get that in as well. Yeah, because Villa, really good club, good people, fantastic facilities. The opportunity was given to me, and it didn't work out, so that's on me.
Steve, you mentioned there about the step up. I always go back to something you said about being on Valencia, and I think at the Premier League, like the coaches are just like, you know, great coaches are probably not even getting the biggest jobs. And you talked about being on the sideline and sort of like feeling a bit like, you know, the other coaches got more experience. You mentioned like Simeone and Valverde. And when you said the step up, is that you're talking about actually your team with your team? Are you talking actually on the pitch when managers are actually changing things in games, or?
Yeah. Well, both really, because that happened to us against City. We played City at Villa Park. I think we drew the game. And Pep was changing every like 10 minutes. It was nuts. You had to like change all the time. So the level of managers that you're competing against definitely is a step up. The demand, the pressure, the media around it. So Rangers is a huge club. The demand never changed because, you know, you draw at Rangers or Celtic and there's a major stewards inquiry into what's gone on, and the demand up there to win every game is nuts. So it wasn't a step up in terms of that on me. But just the whole level of the Premier League and the expectation, the size and the media around it, and it was a jump up in terms of football level and coaching level.
Was it too much of a jump? Was it? I've said this to you, but very openly. I felt out of my depth on the touchline. You know, I played against Atletico Madrid with Simeone, and there was almost an inevitability that I knew in the second half they were almost like suffocating us. I felt like they were. There's anything I could do that could change it. Valverde changed 3 times within about half an hour of a game, and I was like, "What?"
I think there were certain opponents that you were on the side where you thought, "Oh, if we get this wrong here, you could get a pasting." Yeah. I felt a bit like that at Anfield, even though they only beat us 1-0. I felt like if we weren't pragmatic and sort of taking stuff away from Liverpool, the speed that they were playing at, you were thinking, oh, we could get a pasting. And City were like that, but more in a possession way. Last game of the season, Villa, we were 2-0 up when City were going for it. Oh yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, we can do this. We were comfortable for a certain amount of time, and then he brought some changes on the last 20 minutes of the game.
Gundogan came on.
It was like you were on a pinball machine. Yeah. They just changed the speed, changed the level, and it was just like, and I could see it in the players. Everything we were asking the players to do, they were just like, "Are you messing?" It's just like, whoa, what's going on? De Bruyne put about 6 crosses in about 2 seconds. It was, honestly.
That's what you used to do.
And you know, I think there's certain teams in the Premier League that when they go to a certain level, they can bamboozle you with quality and speed, and
How much input are you getting in them moments, you know, from like assistants and no, because sometimes you see.
No, it's a bit of a blur. It's a bit of a blur,
There's
to
not
be
much
honest.
you can do. There's not much you can do against a great team. You just have to take your medicine.
It's a bit of a blur. I mean, it just is. I mean, you said you like parts of it. It's not a negative answer, but it's an answer that means that what parts of it don't you like and what parts of it do you like?
Well, what I mean by that, I love the competing. I love being in the dressing room, being around the boys, the training and stuff like that. But there is, you know, there's stuff around it where you think, oh, interviews, media, criticism, blah, blah, blah. There is parts of it that are not great. It is a stressful job, we all know that.
How did you come out of that? So you obviously Villa, and what you're thinking then is, what you're thinking in terms of your mindset about how you get back on the leg?
Just try and get more games in, really, more experience. Try different things, go abroad, something outside the box, something a little bit different to get more games in. That was the thinking at the time. But for probably 9 months after Villa, I just wanted a bit of a break from it. Just wanted, not managing, coaching, just footy. Just wanted to be free around the family. From school, I've always just been football. So wanted to go and do a few different things away from football that you don't get the chance to do. So just take some time.
Have you got another job in your stay?
Possibly, yeah. I'm not throwing my CV around. I'm not itching. I'm not sort of desperate for any opportunity. But if the phone's gone a few times recently, and it just had timing or family-wise, or it just hasn't been the right thing. But if something comes that's right, I'll be open to a conversation for sure. Is
it easier to be? And I'm asking because there's a number of examples of this. Like, you know, you both have been world-class players. Is it easier to be a top player to go into management, or not to be a top player and go into management? Do you understand what I mean by that?
I think there's more scrutiny on players that have played at the top when they go. And I think that I've felt that, I suppose. But look, you sort of. I think that the key for me is understanding what you bring to the table. What are your strengths? What are you good at? I'm not going to sit here and tell you now I'm the best coach in the world, because I'm not. Because there's been people that have come out of careers earlier and been coaching for 25 years who would be a lot more slicker than me around the training session. I think it's about creating a strong staff team, staff group, where you've got all the skill sets covered within your group that are going to service the players and give them the best possible chance of winning. But for me, I think one of my strengths is understanding what I do bring to the table, what I'm good at, my strengths, and then trying to get other people around me that can help me do it.
I think, just chipping in there, what you're sort of saying, the pressure you're under when you're a big name. Do you see the reaction to Ashley Cole played his first game, didn't he?
Yeah.
His first game in manager, I know he's been in coaching. I don't even know that much about it. Is it an Italian...
Cecina.
But what league are they in? Are they in...
The second.
Yeah. His first game, I think they lost. And it was like a bit of a story on, like, it was popping up on your phone. It's his first game as a manager. You don't get that if you're not Ashley Cole.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can sort of make your mistakes a little bit in the background. And I think he won his last game, didn't he?
Yeah.
Or his last one.
And
But
Roy,
it's just...
and Roy will tell you as well, if you're going through a bit of a stickier point, it becomes more, more interest and more people want to come.
There's pluses and minuses. You do sometimes ex-players who played at a certain level do get a more opportunity to go in there. But when you're in there,
No, I agree.
the pressure, and of course the first thing what happens if you go through sticky patches, you'll never be as good as a manager as you were a player. You go, it's a completely different job. You're learning like every other manager, but you do get less of a break when you're in the job. It does open doors for you sometimes, but when you're in there, then it's...
Yeah, and I've experienced both sides of that. So, for example, getting the Rangers job probably come more on the fact that I was a Liverpool player at a certain level. So I totally understand what he's saying there.
What you said that the phones rang, did you, before, and you've sort of not thought it was the right opportunity? Are they calls from clubs in this country? And what sort of level are you thinking? Is it this country you want to manage in? What level would you go back? Would you go in at Championship, like say Frank's done? Would you go in at League One, or would you want to still?
Yeah, no, listen, there's no ego here. There's no like, I think I'm above any levels or not. It's more the people that you speak to. Like what is it that's on the table? What are you trying to achieve? Is it realistic, or what's available? To sort of support you in the role that you're going to go into. But there's no ego here, of course. Most of the calls that I've had since I came out of my last job would be around Championship level,
You played under some great managers. Which of the managers do you sort of most recognise in yourself, and who have you pulled most out of?
I'd probably say Rafa and Houllier. Probably took the most from them, Took a lot from Brendan as well in terms of sort of like his sessions were really good, great variety. Players used to always really enjoy, the build-up into games and stuff. And Brendan You know, learned a lot of different things compared to the previous managers worked on, because I worked under a lot of pragmatic, organised coaches throughout my Liverpool career and some with England. If you think of Capello, Sven, Brendan brought a bit of a freshness in terms of like being more of a dominant coach with the ball and the possession. I learned a lot of him. But I think you want to be yourself first and foremost. You want to obviously go in, and if you're taking a job on and you're going to take the responsibility, that you've got to be yourself. But of course, it'd be stupid if you don't try and learn and remember things and take things from all the coaches, but not just the ones you've worked with. When you watch the telly, you know, when you're watching Monday Night Football or Super Sunday, I still learn off the lads and listen to a lot of it. So I'm open to try and get better and keep learning, of course I am. But at the same time, work-life balance at the moment for me is brilliant. It's great. It's the best period of my life with no stress.
We've talked about that for years. You've talked about it for years, the idea of the perfect work-life balance, where obviously we still talk about football, we still watch football, but we're obviously not on the touchline, to be fair, the coalface.
Yeah.
Is there a place whereby you could see yourself just sort of settling into the TV, the punditry, doing the games that you do, and then basically not going back into coaching?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's not a problem. I enjoy covering some of the games. I enjoy having quite a bit of free time. Probably the best part I've had from a family point of view for, well, ever, really, in terms of being there, being present. Leo's 8 now. During his career, I've been in Scotland, I've been in Birmingham. So, yeah, really enjoying the family side of it and having a load of free time, but also I'm conscious that I want to stay busy enough where I'm doing enough.
Welcome back to the Premier League show. Let's talk Liverpool now. And former captain Steven Gerrard says the time is right for Mo Salah to leave the club at the end of the season after 9 years at Anfield. Salah's exit was announced last week after he reached an agreement with Liverpool to end his 2-year contract a year early. It signals the end for one of Liverpool's greatest ever players, with Salah winning every major domestic honour and the Champions League in his time at the club. Well, this is what Gerrard said when asked about the manner of Salah's exit. I think it's in everyone's best interest now. The time is right, in my opinion. He's obviously had a disagreement with the manager. I don't know at what level. He's obviously done the interview, which I think he'll regret further down the line. That told me that there was an issue there. Also, even going back before that, Liverpool as a club probably only wanted to give Mo Salah 1 year rather than 2, but because he had such an outstanding season and he was relentless and his numbers were great, they gave him a 2-year deal. For me, I'd only ever seen it as a 1 year at that level. I just think for everyone, it's in everyone's interest for it to end, but also for it to end on Mo Salah's terms. I spoke to him round that interview at the time and said, don't do what you've done and go under a cloud. He'll still have himself down as one of the best players in the world, and that's why I think the fallout's come about. He was probably struggling with the transition of the manager, saying that you're not starting today. Well, you generally listen when Steven Gerrard speaks about Liverpool. Is he right? Is this the right time now for Salah to move on, even though he's got another year in his contract?
Well, yeah, in my opinion, for what it's worth, yes, because he hasn't looked happy all season. He's not really played with that. We used to see Mo Salah, big smile on his face, enjoying his football, playing freely. He hasn't really looked like that this season. So I agree, of course, with when Steven Gerrard speaks about Liverpool, you listen. But I agree with him completely. We don't want to see pictures like this of Mo Salah. It's not normal for him in his time at Liverpool to not be enjoying himself. So if he's not worked, if it's not worked out for him, and he doesn't seem comfortable this season, I think it was great that he stuck around last season when he maybe could have gone then. But if he doesn't feel right, it's the right thing for both parties that he moves on in a good manner, and he come out with the statement which then gives the club, the fans, and himself a little bit of time to get over it. And it's not like he's dropped it on them at the end of the season and it's just bye and gone.
Do you say that then because he's a bit like Cristiano Ronaldo? He's not the kind of player that maybe you want to be hanging around the squad if he's no longer the main man, because he could disrupt team harmony. There's also the financial aspect as well, because you've got to pay him a lot of money to sit on the bench.
I don't know him well enough to know if he's disruptive when not happy. I'd be surprised if he was. I know he's had a few little.
Well, he gave
seems to be tantrums.
Not happy.
Yeah,
That doesn't help. The
yeah,
manager,
but I
does it?
think he's so popular within the dressing room. Like, I've been in dressing rooms before where somebody is not happy with the club and they speak out about it, but we all like him and we understand where he's coming from because he's your mate. I see that with Mo Salah. I don't think he'd disrupt training sessions and things like that. He's obviously spoke out that time, which wasn't great, but he was frustrated at the time. So I don't see him really. It's more just a case of if he's not happy, let him go to pastures new and you move on as well, because taking him out the team is a massive hole to fill for Liverpool. I don't know how they go about that. They'll obviously be working hard now to go about that, but you don't want him there. If you don't want any player in your football club if they're not happy.
What next for him then? Because he's 33. You know, you see him with his top off. He's still ripped. He's still in great shape, isn't he? You know, he still looks very, very fit. Is it too early, do you think, for him as a player to go to, say, Saudi or the MLS? Do you think he could still go and do a good job at a big European club?
Yeah, 100%. I think we are seeing players go to those places you mentioned a little bit earlier and at a younger age, but you can't help but feel Mo Salah's got a lot more high-quality football left in him. So I see him maybe. I don't think he'd go to Serie A. I think he's done that. That wouldn't suit him. No players of that quality at the minute are really jumping at the chance to play in Italy. Spain is the place. You know, Real Madrid, Barcelona, maybe have another go at it.
Can they afford him?
Listen, I don't understand the implications with the Spanish football teams financially, I've got to be honest with you. But if they can, I'm sure they'd want him.
Well, he would be free, wouldn't he?
Yeah, so if they can, then listen, I think there's no doubt in his quality, especially when he's happy. When he's happy, as you said, he's not. It's not like he's struggling. His legs are struggling by any means. He's still a top player at a top level. So if he ended up in the MLS or in Saudi, wouldn't surprise me. I just feel like he's probably got a little bit more to do in Europe and in the Champions League.
Well, Jurgen Klopp reckons he wouldn't be surprised if Salah played on for another 7 years, which would take him to 40.
Just like you said at the start, like he is of the Cristiano Ronaldo ilk, where you go when he takes his top off, you go, wow, he's in shape. He obviously looks after his body. He's obviously very professional about what he does. He's serious about what he does. He wants to win things. Again, that goes back to probably this season. They're not in a position. I know they're in the Champions League, but they're not in a position to win the Premier League. He's probably not happy about that. He's a serial winner. And he wants to play for a team that are challenging for things.
What was it like playing him when he was in his peak? We saw some brilliant goals there scored, but actually a goal that won him the most awards was scored against your Everton team, wasn't it? Yeah. Let's have a look at it, shall we? Won the Puskás Award back in 2018. You can see Ashley, and in fact, Ashley, you're kind of like on the periphery a little bit. There you are, just trying to come across, backing off a little bit. He's already done a couple of your teammates. And you were saying before, you were like, I think he scored loads of better goals than this. Why is this the Puskás Award?
Oh, I'm not in the periphery, am I? I'm right in the middle of the goal.
Well, you're backing away from him.
Yeah, do you know what?
Very kind of you to let him have a shot there.
In that stuff, listen, by the way, I've seen that goal so many times over the last couple of weeks. It just doesn't get stopped playing, but it's a great goal. I'm surprised that was the Puskás Award because I seem to remember him scoring a lot more better goals than that, although that is an extremely good goal. And if you go back to the times when it was like Mane, Salah, Firmino, it was almost impossible to stop. He was just playing at such a high level where you're kind of at his mercy. When he wants to turn the dial up a little bit, you just got to go with it. And like that goal there, if I continue to press him, he's going to chop to the byline. If you stand off him, he's going to put it in the top corner. And he was that good, and he still probably can reach those levels.
Yeah, we saw you there, like you're obviously giving him some space. You don't want to engage him. Is that because if you get too tight to him when he's in that kind of a move, he can embarrass you? But
his balance and the way he changes direction and his strength. So sometimes with those type of tricky players, you can physically outmuscle them. He's really strong. Like he's got a good.
Stronger than he looks.
Yeah, and reminds me of like Eden Hazard. You couldn't push him off the ball. You can't push him off the ball either. You just seen him push down Cuco Martino in our team, who's a strong lad as well. So he's strong. So if you get into that situation with him, it's very difficult to judge. You kind of pick your poison, because if you get too close, he's going to go past you. If you step off him, he's going to put it in the top corner. So that's one of the best players that you can play against. That's an example of when you're a defender playing against a top quality striker, you're not sure whether to go or stick, because he's going to do something great with it anyway.
And just like you know, it takes his top off, everyone goes, wow.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, maybe in the old days, mate. Up next,